Any runners in the room? Ah, I see a couple runners. In the not too distant past, the 1950s, there were a group of people that wanted to be the fastest runners in the world. And one of these gentlemen was a gentleman by the name of Roger, and he was a really smart guy. He was actually a medical student, and he was a fast runner. He was an Olympic level runner. And he was running pretty fast, and he said, you know what? I am gonna break the 4-minute mile. And he actually had run pretty fast right before he proclaimed this. He had run the mile in 4 minutes and 2 seconds. And doctors said, no, Roger, you can't do it. It's physically impossible. The human body cannot run that fast. He said, I don't care. He trained smart. He did his research. He shows up on May 6, 1954, has a great start, really in a good rhythm, puts his head down and finishes hard and collapses at the finish line. The crowd is like all of a sudden hushed. Oh no, what's going on? Did he break the record? Is he okay? And Roger puts his head up and you hear over the loudspeaker, 3 minutes, 59.4 seconds. The crowd went crazy and Roger did it. Roger later reported that he thought he had died. He pushed it so hard, he thought he had died, and he woke up and he was still alive. Now that's great for Roger, right? He broke the 4-minute mile. Turns out it was also great for many other runners. In just 46 days, Australian runner John Landy also broke the 4-minute mile, a second and a half faster than Roger. And then in the 3 years that followed, 15 runners broke the 4-minute mile. Now what's going on here? Why all of a sudden did all of these runners, were they able to break the 4-minute mile? What do you think?
They knew they could do it.
They knew they could do it.
Mindset.
Yeah, they believed it could be done. Roger proved it was humanly possible. And all those runners that had tried before him, something, maybe unconsciously or subconsciously, was holding them back. Something was slowing them down. And so I am a mental toughness coach. I work with executives and athletes, and I often work with them to figure out what are your self-limiting beliefs that are slowing you down. One of my role models in business, Mr. Henry Ford, has been quoted as saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And that's my first tip for you today. Our beliefs are self-fulfilling prophecies. And what I like to share with you is the waterfall. This is a paradigm that I use when I'm coaching my athletes and executives. I'm gonna pick this up and turn this around. Ooh, this is heavy. And the waterfall paradigm rests in this acronym, which is B tier. And so my beliefs, those underlying assumptions, those things that I really hold to be true, I might not even be consciously aware of what my underlying beliefs are, but I really hold those to be true. Those generate my thoughts. All of those thoughts that are racing through our head all day long, even at night when we're sleeping, we're thinking, right? I don't know if you've ever woken up and you're like, stop, I need to go back to sleep, right? Those thoughts then evoke emotions, which create actions, and of course, those generate our results. Anyone ever jumped off a waterfall before? Awesome. So if you jump off and you get halfway down, can you change your mind? No, you're committed, right? So once you jump off that waterfall, we want to make sure we've got the beliefs that are going to enable us to do a great, beautiful dive with no splash. Because many of the athletes and executives that I work with will jump off that waterfall and take a big old belly flop because their beliefs are not actually helping them. And I want to give you an example. Let's say I have an alarm clock problem. In the last month, I've been late to work 5 times. And my boss just pulled me in yesterday and he goes, you know, Shannon, if you can't figure out how to get here on time, we're gonna have to have a conversation and renegotiate our relationship. And I'm like, uh-oh, I do not like these results that I'm getting. So I might, as I'm racing to work, stressed out and anxious, I might think to myself, I'm just not a morning person. Where's my underlying belief? Now, what is the thoughts that might follow from that? As my alarm's going off at 6 a.m., I might push the snooze and go, if I just catch every green light, I'll eat breakfast in the car, I can still make it to work on time. And I push the snooze a couple more times. What are the emotions that follow? I'm stressed, I'm anxious, I'm driving to work like a crazy woman, running red lights. My actions? I'm not getting up on the first alarm clock, right? And I'm leaving the house 20 minutes late, and of course the results are not good. I'm about to lose my job. So if I can identify what that belief is, I can go back and say, hang on, is that belief serving me? Is it helping me to be successful? And if I decide, nope, it's not helping me, I can go back and reframe it. What if instead I thought, you know what? Being on time is valuable. I go to bed on time, right? If I can replace it with something that I believe, that's key. It's gotta be something I believe, right? Then what might follow? My thoughts might be, okay, my alarm just went off. I'm getting up on my first alarm. And I'm going to bed at 10 o'clock, so I'm rested and ready to get up at 6 a.m. My emotions, I'm driving to work, I feel calm, I feel prepared for work. I might even get there 5 minutes early and be like, I can really look at my calendar and see what I have to do today. My actions, I'm gonna get up on that first alarm, and the results are gonna be much better. So my second tip for you today, use the waterfall. If you don't like the results you're getting, trace it back up to the underlying beliefs. Now I do this with a lot of my coachees, and I say, okay, what are you believing, right? And they're like, I don't know what my underlying belief is. Pay attention when emotions are running hot. When you're driving to work like a crazy woman, that's when I want you to think, I'm not a morning person, there it is, so I need to write it down. Keep a self-talk journal. That's my third tip for you today. And so when emotions are running high and you write it down, that's not a good time to reframe. Cool off, when you can be more objective, look at it, and then go, is this belief hurting me or helping me? And if it's hurting you in your pursuit to be the best version of yourself, reframe it. Remember, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.